Hello learners, myself Dr. Renuka Mainde, corporate nutritionist and counselor for IGNOU in their MSc Nutrition and Dietetics course. The complexity of resistant starch, effect on gut microbiota and microbial effect on resistant starch metabolism has been a focus of much work. With the application of new genomic techniques to the gut microbiota, the pace of progress is anticipated to accelerate. In addition to best to interpret gut microbiota, we need advance to expand the capabilities of resistant starch, analytical methods, which still depends greatly on method developed earlier for dietary fiber. This module explores the impact of processing on resistant starch and physiological properties of resistant starch. Hello learners, in this particular unit of resistant starch, we will be learning about the effect of processing on resistant starch and the health benefits of resistant starch on human health. Let us now first see the colon cancer and resistant starch. Resistant starch has established its potential role in prevention of colon cancer and inflammatory bowel disease. Although the studies of resistant starch and human colonic health have been limited, colon cancer appears to develop as a result of dysregulation of molecular pathways that control epithelial proliferation, maturation and apoptosis, with perturbation of both genetic and epigenetic components. In regeneration of normal mucosa, stem cells deep within the crypt undergo mitosis with subsequent maturation and differentiation of daughter cell to mature absorptive and secretory population of colonic mucosa, and eventually a loss of aged or damaged cells through apoptosis. The molecular mechanism by which dietary resistant starches are believed to alter the development or progression of colon cancer are incompletely understood. However, the potential mechanism of action of dietary resistant starch on gene expression and mutation, DNA methylation, histone modification are being studied intensively. Complex interaction between microbiota, dietary component, colonic epithelium, immune system and nervous and endocrine system are being dissected. It is likely that mechanism integrating these components will emerge. Let us now see the second important benefit of resistant starch on diabetes. One of the important lifestyle change to be recommended in case of diabetes is replacement of ordinary starch in the food with resistant starch because of its low glycemic index. It has been reported in human studies that consuming foods including corn porridge or crackers with high content of resistant starch resulted in lower postprandial glucose concentration and concomitant insulin response compared with consuming foods containing ordinary starch. In addition, consuming less of digestible starch may decrease glycemic response to the subsequent meal and the second meal effect benefited. The potential for the low glycemic index carbohydrate such as resistant starch to reduce diabetic complications may be related to protection of kidney function and lead to a better maintenance of adequate nutritional status, particularly respect to vitamin D. As this has been reported by Alexander D. in 2012. Let us now see the impact of resistant starch with obesity. Resistant starch are projected to deliver many of the health benefits of dietary fiber. Therefore, they may aid weight management, although it has yet adequately demonstrated. First, because of lower calorie content, replacing rapidly digestible starch with resistant starch reduce the energy density of the diet. Secondly, incorporating resistant starch into a meal may augment feeling of satiety. Although fiber intake has been associated with increased satiety, the effect of resistant starch on satiety is less clear. In rodent models, adding resistant starch to the diet increased the secretion of putative satiety hormones GLP-1 and PYY, suggesting that it might augment the satiety. The few studies that have been conducted in humans have provided mixed results. Thirdly, resistant starch may influence body weight by increasing energy expenditure or fat oxidation. It has been proposed that replacing rapidly digestible starch with resistant starch may promote fat mobilization as a result of reduction in insulin secretion. Let us now see the role of resistant starch as a prebiotic product. With respect to gut health, resistant starch may impart some of the health benefits by decreasing transit time and increasing fecal output. However, it is likely that resistant starch mediate some or more larger proportion of its effect through action of short-chain fatty acids. Prebiotic effect related with consumption of resistant starch, such as growth of beneficial microbial population and lowered activity of certain bacterial enzymes, would be expected to have beneficial impact on colonic bacterial activity. As mentioned earlier, short-chain fatty acids are important fuel for maintaining normal colonic function, and they can regulate colonocyte gene expression, cell cycle, apoptosis, and can also exert trophic effect on colonic epithelium. The food sources of resistant starch which is commonly found are oats, cooked and uncooked, cooled rice, raw and ripe banana, legumes, mostly all pasta, cooked and cooled potatoes, maize flour, to name few, are the prominent sources of resistant starch. Potential for the development of the product from the resistant starch. Let us now see this. The starch-based food products have different nutritional properties which are particularly by the origin of starch, its composition, processing method used, and process method applied. Increasing health awareness and rising demand for the functional food by the consumers are pouring the food industry internationally to look at the ways to develop innovative food products with health benefits. Resistant starch is one of them. Caloric control is a paramount to combat obesity. Depending on the resistant starch product used, resistant starch contribute to 1.6 to 2.5 kilocalorie per gram versus 4 kilocalorie per gram of rapidly digested starch. Now the products available in the market are Night Bite, Glucobar, Extend Bar. All contains resistant starch type 2. These foods are specially formulated for the people suffering from type 2 diabetes. Resistant starch is now added to most of the bakery products, and consumer can consume it as it is an invisible fiber, cookies, bread, pasta, to name few. Let's conclude. The further research is necessary to understand on the content of resistant starch in range of food products. Depending on the type of resistant starch in these food products, the use of various food additives may be necessary to produce the foods with the acceptable quality attributes. The development of food products with increased resistant starch content and acceptable quality attributes is imperative to provide food with increased health benefits to the consumer.